Good morning, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, panelists. Good, we're all here. Good morning, Ching. So, digital elegance. In an ever-evolving landscape of commerce and consumerism, the integration of luxury brands with the digital era has given rise to what one could call digital elegance. Now, this concept transcends traditional luxury boundaries and is ushering it into the domain of immersive digital experiences and highly personalized interactions. Now, in a time where screens have become the new storefront and data-driven insights are pivotal in capturing consumer interest, luxury brands are redefining their strategies. Now, this transformation aims to harmonize the timeless appeal of luxury with the contemporary expectations of a new digital reality. Now, in this panel, we will dive into digital elegance, exploring the strategies and subtleties that empower luxury brands to thrive in the digital age, while upholding their heritage and legacy of craftsmanship and exclusivity. So my name is Leslie Holden, and I'm a co-founder at the Digital Fashion Group, and delighted to moderate this panel. As Ching said, three great experts to discuss this topic. And I'd like each expert to introduce themselves. So starting with Richa.
Hi, my name is Richa. First of all, thank you for having me here today. Very delighted to be a part of this panel discussion. To give you a little bit of details about myself, currently I'm working at iStaging as channel sales manager globally. My background has always been about fashion and the luxury industry. Recently, I tried to turn the waves around the technology aspect of the changing dynamic of luxury industry, and hence iStaging comes into the picture, where we provide AR, VR, technologically driven software solutions to fashion, beauty, and luxury brands precisely. So as it's all about the changing dynamics from the traditional aspect of luxury to the digital ones, I think iStaging is definitely at the core, where we make sure that we put out the best immersive experiences for the brands and they're able to generate great ROIs for themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Richa. Now, Eric, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, Leslie. Hello, everyone. I'm a kind of multiverse, human multiverse, not metaverse. 1/3, I'm the CEO of Journal du Luxe, which is the leader of B2B luxury news. Also, I create a business school, Paris School of Luxury, and I'm strategic planner. And from friends from Taiwan, a new book is coming, Luxe Digital, is totally the subject, and it's okay for me.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you. Richard.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everybody. Nice to meet you, and thank you for having us. My background has been in the fashion industry for many decades, and primarily in the early stages of sourcing, production, eventually brand management, brand ownership, logistics, retail, and I still have some businesses in that area. And I got into digital fashion in 2015 and actually formed Brand New Vision in 2016. And I've been building it on from there up until today, literally, where what I'm showing in the background here is our latest product, which is called MeID, which is a fully immersive, customizable avatar wearable, including free and linked wearables as tokens. It's actually by probably in about 2 hours, it will be optimized globally So wherever you are in the world, you can log into this just using a social account, a wallet if you have it for an enhanced experience, and have some fun. And I will leave that there.
Great. Thank you, Richard. Looks great. Well, I know about it already, but it looks great. So let's get going with this discussion. First question. I think it's always good to ensure that we have a good definition of what we're going to talk about. So what is your definition of luxury fashion? What is it? Starting with Richa, what is your definition of luxury fashion?
I think for me, the key to luxury is and always be centered around the idea of exclusivity. The feeling that not everyone will be able to get their hands on a particular product or would be able to experience what the brand is selling. However, I think with the changing norms and especially the changing consumerism pattern, luxury has a different meaning today than it did to previous generations. So I believe that the concept of self-actualization and personal fulfillment is taking a space around the idea of exclusivity, which indeed appears to be now at the heart of what high-end consumers want and expect from luxury experiences today. And that is why I believe luxury is no longer defined only by the concepts of quality, comfort, or elegance. It's more about looking for experiences that help the consumers learn, differentiate themselves, express who they are, and have a purpose beyond comfort and pampering. And that is why I believe that self-actualization and personal fulfillment is playing a key role now in the definition of luxury fashion.
Great. So it's about identity. That's really
Exactly.
interesting. Yeah, thank you, Richa. Richard, what would you say luxury fashion was?
What it was and what it is now, I think, are two different things. I mean, what it was historically was artisanship, exclusivity, personalized experiences. If you take the example of couture down to ready to wear, down to mass market to fast fashion, it was always at the very top. I think what's happened in the last 10 years or so, where the concept of what is commonly referred to as streetwear has infiltrated that luxury fashion world to the point where the two things become meshed into one. And you actually have a situation where you have an incredibly expensive product, which costs very little to make. And that to me is the antithesis of luxury. And it's wrong. That's my stated position on that one. But I totally agree with Richa. It's all about experience. It's not just about paying a lot of money for something. It's about the whole process of engaging with the brand or with the product and everything that goes around it. So, holidays, high-end cinema experiences, things that give you something a bit more above the norm, I would now classify as luxury.
Yeah, it's interesting. So again, in a way, it's about identity. It's not about the craft and the quality as much as what it gives you in the community. Eric, what would you say?
For me, it's very important question. You know, luxury have 400 million clients in the world, and I think we have 400 millions of definition of luxury. And it's maybe the secret of the success of luxury, because everyone has his definition. For me, I will connect to dream. Today, we live in a polycrisis world, so difficult. And luxury is quite the place where we can dream. And, it's quite funny because the purpose of LVMH, the group #1 in luxury, is know how to dream. And for me, yes, it's a dream.
That's great. It's 3 really interesting definitions. It's it's about how you express yourself. It's not so much about artisan anymore. It's more about identity, and it's about dreaming. So let's kind of bear that in mind as we go through the rest of the discussion, because I'm sure there'll be other definitions come up. Next question, and perhaps we start with Eric this time. How have luxury brands successfully transitioned from traditional marketing and retail to embrace digital? And what are some notable examples of their strategies in action?
It's a great question again. Digital is really the new frontier of luxury. I wrote the first volume of Lux and Digital in 2016, and luxury was late at this part. Is not, you know, a loving marriage, but we have a tipping point. And the tipping point for me is really the COVID crisis. In the COVID crisis, digital will be, and if we make some review of all this time, it's for me, the digital part of luxury was really the secret of resiliency of luxury brand. It's so important for them. They don't make any difference between the brick and mortar shop and the e-shop. Everything is omni-channel. And for me, this is a tipping point there. But more than e-commerce, which is very strategic, for me today, luxury is at the avant-garde of digital, which is very, very new. It starts, and I know we talk that later, with Web3. It's really a loving history between NFT, blockchain, metaverse, and luxury. And today, same thing, again, avant-garde, with the question of AI. And I'm very curious about that, but you know, the CEO of luxury brand love to talk about AI. They talk AI, you know, in e-commerce, but also they connect AI with creativity. And if I say, who are the best? It's a tough question, but when I see, when I talk, you know, to chief digital officer from LVMH, of Kering, for me, they are, you know, they are great ambition, but also they are models. And the two models are Alibaba from Asia and Amazon from US. And I love that because they say, okay, they are the best, but we have to be at the same level with difference.
Okay, interesting. So luxury brands are at the avant-garde of the digital revolution. Richa, do you want me to say the question again?
No, it's okay. I think the question is
okay.
I think I would go back to what Eric mentioned previously about dream. I think as luxury brands traditionally were all about experiences within the store or on e-commerce websites. Now they're taking a step forward because they want to provide this dream-like experience on all possible touch points. And that's where technology is playing an important role. And all the luxury brands, let's say from LVMH, Kering, and Richemont, everybody has started embracing the aspect of digital, and they're making sure that the omni-channel experiences that they're putting out are seamless and compelling at the same time. And I believe that's where the story of this transition from traditional marketing to digital gets interesting. Some of the examples that come to my mind, one, of course, is from Christian Dior Couture. If you enter the flagship store that they have here in Paris, it's like a dream-like setting already. So from the moment you browse and make your research on social media or an e-commerce website, to the moment you put your foot into the store, it's literally a dream-like experience. All the sales associates are really equipped with the digital tools that they need to have in order to understand the customer preferences, their behaviors, each and everything. And all these relevant digital tools are providing that dream-like experience and bringing everything together within a retail store. along with the technologies such as AR, personalization tools, and facilitated payment. So definitely we are taking some examples from Amazon and Alibaba because they have set that benchmark in the industry when it comes to providing the best services. And if luxury brands are looking towards that, I think it's a good way to begin with. We are definitely not at the forefront in leading the technology, or let's say the digital experiences, but we are definitely getting there. It might take a little bit more time, but I believe there would be great changes coming up front. LVMH is doing wonderfully well with the innovation team that they have got, and how they work with the startups is again a notable example of the vision that they have towards embracing digital.
Wonderful. Great, Richa. That's very clear. So we've got, it's at the avant-garde of what's happening in digital, and we've got they are creating dreamlike experiences. Richard.
I'll come at it from a slightly different angle, if you don't mind, because when you say the word digital, there's all sorts of applications of how that can be. Now, my journey, if you like, has been how can we use technology to improve or do less damage or speed up or make more efficient the process of design, development, production, sourcing, distribution, logistics. So my background is, as I mentioned before, is very much on the back end, production, sourcing, design management, etc. And what really clipped it for me was about 2015, when I really started to understand or really appreciate where the 3D design software had got to. And it had been around for a little while, but actually, and I'll name check them, Browseware and CLO 3D came on my radar there. We bought licenses, we started working on it, and I could see immediately huge potential for how that could transform the design, the development process, i.e. reducing the time and the cost of making samples and the process of sharing those, sending them around the world and getting them approved before eventually going to production. And not just stopping there, but actually using those digital versions that had been created, which were supremely realistic with material physics, with all of the elements that you could expect in a real garment, to the point where some people could not tell that it was a 3D version of a particular garment, that you could then use that to sell. You could use that to merchandise. You could use it to market. The biggest frustration for me is very few people have done that and not applied it in the way that I would like to have seen it done back in 2015. I told all my friends who were designers, learn this tool. It's the future. So when we talk about how brands have embraced digital, if you look at it from that perspective, very few have taken it fully to its true potential. Hence, that's why I started BMV, because I realized that there was a bigger opportunity for digital fashion than just a sample creation process. Where I think it's gone now, where people are doing amazing things, is literally in the marketing and the advertising, because the ability to create compelling visuals, videos, animations, VFX-driven things, literally on a phone and a laptop, means that anybody can be a cinematic quality creator stroke photographer. Really good ones cost more money, and there's a lot of agencies out there which charge a lot of money to luxury brands to create that stuff, and all credit to them. But there's a lot of stuff that is happening at the lower of the entry point, which is really amazing. And I see that happening. I mean, I'll give the one thing that stood out, I think, a few months ago was the Jacquemus handbags on wheels driving around Paris. It was, that went viral. It was, and people, is this real? Is this real? No, it's a high quality video, but it looked real enough. And I think those are the things which I enjoy. They're nice. They don't necessarily add value into the chain, but as a marketing and a promotional tool, what you can now do with digital tools and effects and digitally created product or digitally reinterpreted product is really interesting.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Richard, about how digital has been used more for marketing and promotion, and not so much for the production side, perhaps, that it could be, or the process.
Simply, it's very interesting, the example of Jacquemus, because Jacquemus, you know, it's really a jewel in the French fashion house, but he is totally a digital guy. You know, he started like a blogger, and I interview him a lot. And he start, you know, his day to see what is in the e-commerce side, what is buying, what is not buying. It's a guy, a creative guy, totally digital minded in its side, but also in its creation.
Yeah, yeah. So the next question, the next point of conversation is in the context of luxury brands, what does immersive experience mean, and how does it contribute to brand loyalty and consumer retention in the digital age? And maybe we do this a bit more like a conversation. So let's just start with Richard, and then just jump in Eric and Richa.
Okay.
I'll stop.
Stop when it gets heated. I mean, immersive by its nature in the physical world is you're surrounded by something. You're enveloped by that experience. So in the real world, that's the retail experience. You know, that's how you go into a store and you feel, you know, you're part of something it's engaging, it's compelling, you want to interact with it. And I do think a lot of, let's say, normal retailers don't get that. It's still very much a transactional driven experience rather than putting someone into that space. Obviously, good retailers have done it well for decades, centuries even. Where I think, you know, that immersive experience with digital elements is going to be the really interesting part. That's how do you, not necessarily, you don't have to build a version of your store and drop it into the metaverse, for want of a better term, but how can you give somebody this fully surrounded immersive experience with the digital elements and that connects them to that? I mean, we're all waiting to see what happens with the Vision Pro from Apple, and the new Oculus Quest 3, whatever it's called, is beginning to move in that direction. But I think that's going to be the really, for me personally, I want to see how that can work, and you can really dive into that space and have these amazing visual, audio, sensory even. That's you know, haptic suits could be there at some point in the future. But I think from an immersive point of view, at this stage, before we get to that, it's all about an amazing retail experience or amazing activations, which people can really connect to. And I don't think many people do that well. I mean, there's an amazing space below the old Topshop store on Oxford Street in London, where they've kitted the whole basement out with screens. So you literally are in a space. There's amazing things that can happen around there. But it's an empty box. So I think if you could bring product and other things into that space and make the things work together, that's going to be truly immersive.
Mm-hmm.
And Eric, how do you see this can relate to brand loyalty and immersive experience?
It's very interesting, and we will talk about rarity and exclusivity. For me, it's totally connected. Maybe, you know, one sector still believe in metaverse. It's luxury. Why? Because immersive is so important, and I connect to the subject of this panel, digital elegance. I think one of the secrets of the passion about Web3 and luxury is the question of digital elegance. With this immersive, with this NFT, we talk again about beauty, about the beauty of an object. I think about Artifact, you know, the great NFT maker from Nike, who make partnership with Tiffany & Co. Yes, which is quite funny because personally, I invest in a metaverse and I'm in the luxury world. We still believe in that. We don't know if it's today, but we invest for that. And I simply give you a figure of how it's important. You know the Comité Colbert. The Comité Colbert is the what to say that it's the club for every French houses, big from and little. And this figure, it was a study by Ben & Co and Comité Colbert that 50% of brands from the committee Colbert, more than 100, have a metaverse project. That means that, yes, they totally connect immersive and retention of client. It's connected. It's maybe the idea with this immersive world is VIP in a digital world.
So the metaverse isn't dead then?
You know, it is not dead. It's not dead. We will see with it, but we have to talk about spatial internet with that. But I think the world is dead, but the concept is not dead.
I think the metaverse, I mean, what people had were sold visions of the metaverse or pictures of the metaverse, which it was never going to be. You know, it was the concept of Web3 is using blockchain technology to change economics and relationships and, you know, the levels of engagement, including ownership. And the metaverse would be part of what connects those. So it didn't necessarily have to be, you know, Ready Player One or even Sandbox. It's other things that can just bring those things all together.
So that's interesting. So we're really talking about what the definition is. I mean, that's definitions are changing all the time and how we see these things and how and what application they can possibly have. And you know, you can see now with the development of like headsets and things with the new Ray-Ban smart glasses that we're going somewhere. We've gone somewhere not from completely immersive, but to, you know, to semi-immersive.
Yes, but you know, it's very interesting because Meta don't talk about metaverse with glasses. They talk about AI, the changing of the world. And secondly, when we take metaverse is dead because we have got Western, you know, Occidental point of view, but our friend in China, metaverse is really, really alive. And when you have got Alibaba, where the theme last year of 2021 was about metaverse, that it means that it's a reality in China, same as a digital influencer. In Europe and US, it's not the same song.
Yeah, yeah. And Richa, iStaging is really all about the metaverse in a way, isn't it? In the way that you're using that immersive experience.
Yes, immersive experiences are definitely at the core. And that's why I feel like as with the rise of technology, the lines are getting a bit blurred between the physical and the digital world. And this is where we believe at iStaging that AR and VR technology largely contributes in achieving these immersive experiences. We do work with many LVMH brands, for example, and Kering as well. One of the requests that we often receive is about immersive experiences, but not towards the 3D aspect. Like they want to do something, but more on the 2D or the realistic photography options. They don't want to go towards super 3D, full gaming experiences as of now. Yes, there are a few brands out there, even from the LVMH itself, that have tried their hands on full 3D and gaming experiences, but it's still questionable within the luxury industry. I agree with Eric when he says that China is all about that, because my experience has been similar. So when I speak to the brands in China, they have altogether a very different approach towards immersive experiences than what we have here in Europe. But to contribute to that, I think there are three main important elements that brands are taking into consideration. First is all about, according to me, about the emotional connection that you have to achieve through immersive experiences, which is a little bit difficult to get. Then second is all about leaving a trace in the minds of the customers, because that's what it contributes to brand loyalty and customer retention at the end of the day. And then, of course, differentiating yourself from the competitors in the market. So even though brands are trying to do that, it's still complicated. We're not yet there, as per my conversations that I've had with luxury brands here in Europe. So I think we're going to still take some more time to go fully immersive. We're not yet there. And in order to build elevated brand engagement and brand loyalty, I do 100% believe that immersive experiences are going to play an important role, and they're doing so. One of the examples that come to my mind is from LV, Louis Vuitton, that creates immersive experiences. And these experiences literally transports their customers from their flagship stores to different locations and allow them to explore the exclusive products and the craftsmanship behind them, making the experience dreamlike and iconic. But they're not doing it for all the customers out there. It's only for a certain section of the customers that they have got, which they call it VIC experiences. And it's based on immersive experience. Having said that, it's not full 3D because we do create that experience for LV. So it's more based on the 2D aspect, which allows them to provide this different and exclusive experience to their VIP customers. So it's still a long road to go, I believe.
Yeah, and that's a really good segue into the next question, which is about personalization. You know, we're really looking at what the customer wants. So what role does personalization play in the luxury industry's digital transformation? And how can brands strike the right balance between exclusivity and mass customization to cater to their diverse customer base? Who wants to kick off with this one? Richard?
Okay. I think the concept of co-creation, which is a key part of what Web3 could potentially represent, is a difficult one for a lot of brands to grasp, because you're essentially saying to them, here's some product, and I'm going to allow you to play with this and create something and potentially share it, potentially sell it. And that's a big jump. However, I've used this example, Leslie's probably heard me use it a number of times. I can walk into a Ralph Lauren store and buy a plaid shirt today, and I can step outside the perimeter of the store. I can rip the sleeves off. I can paint an anarchy symbol on the back, and I can sell it to the next person that walks by. And the brand can't do anything about it, whether I've done a good job or a bad job. If you take that into the digital environment, and I'm talking tokenized digital fashion, there's the potential to actually do that within parameters that can be set by the brand. So I will allow you to customize this product within these factors, whether it be color or graphics or whatever, and that we can then become yours. Or potentially it could be something that you could sell, and if you do sell it, whether you sell 1 piece or 10 pieces or 100 pieces, there can be a royalty and a revenue stream that even comes back to the brand. So this is one of the things that I firmly believe that Web3, digital fashion, and co-creation can really facilitate. And we've started this process, and we're spinning with various brands, and some of them get it. The younger ones, the ones that are engaging with their audience in a very much more dynamic and fluid and interesting way, are absolutely 100% into that. The, let's say, older or more established brands, there's quite a few obstacles to overcome, but I think we will crack some of those. So when you talk about customization, that's how I'm looking at it, is co-creation, customization, and that's the personalization element. I think you go back to traditional elements of personalization, which is having your initials embroidered on your shirt cuff or something along those lines, or, you know, a Nike ID, which they did, 20 years ago now. There's all sorts of possibilities around that one, but that's where I see it going, is digital co-creation and commercial engagement.
Great, Richard. And Eric, kind of building on from that, how do you see luxury brands working with customization?
It's very important because, rarity is kind of myth today in luxury. When you have got 400 million clients and you said billions and billions, rarity is very rare, It's a paradox we are here. Then personalization is so important. And it's totally in the culture of luxury, the good old word was bespoke. And it's really an English culture there. Simply, yes, digital helped that, definitely. And simply in terms of, if I talk about marketing, target communities, personalization is the #1 insight for Gen Z. If you don't personalize, but personalization can be, in the box, your name, a color, quite everything. Yes, we really in personalization time. Simply today, it's a new era strategically for luxury. We are in the elevation business. What is elevation business? Elevation business is increasing price and target the rich. And it's quite funny because, Gen Z was not maybe the obsession of luxury today, and digital was not the obsession today. The obsession is the brick and mortar shop. I give you the example, Gucci tried to make a great reboot, and Gucci want to reconnect with super high net worth. And for that, they don't really use digital. They use special shop for client with only rendezvous, and it's a bespoke paradise there.
Great.
And I think LV also has the same setting, L'Europeana as well, if I believe, because they also have dedicated spaces that are only for their VIP customers. And it's you need to have an appointment to be there, and that appointment is usually scheduled by the client advisors working out at those brands. They send you the invite, you have your dedicated time, you show up. In case if you don't want, then of course they have got the digital tools in order to make sure that your entire experience during that session, during that shopping session, is amazing and wonderful. So all the high-end luxury brands, I believe, are really keeping it separate. They have their VIP experiences going on in brick and mortar stores, which now they're bringing it to the digital world. But at the same time, because we cannot forget about all the other customers that they have got, this mass customization really plays an important role. So it's a little bit contradictory because they want to cater to very different sections of the consumer base that they have got. But so that's why I believe that sustaining this allure in a marketplace where exclusivity and personalization are important, but they go hand in hand at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, for luxury brands to kind of maintain the aura of exclusivity and craftsmanship, where accessibility and inclusivity are increasingly emphasized. And what are some of the strategies that luxury brands can use to balance these two kind of different, opposing forces in a way? So, accessibility and inclusivity, two quite different things. What kind of strategies can they employ for this?
Exclusivity, for me, exclusivity. Today, if I make trends, inclusivity is down, exclusivity is up in the luxury business. Today, and when you see the use of NFT in luxury, sure, you have got the part of the digital passport, which is very useful and very helpful for the second-hand market, and to have got digital platform. That this means that you own a real object, not a copy. But NFT is a key to a super club. It's really a CRM tool. About exclusivity. This idea of exclusivity is everything. But here I talk in the introduction about the idea of dream. But today, luxury is art. It's kind of hold up, say in French. Luxury is art. When we buy a Chanel bag, Hermes bag, we buy a piece of art. And it's quite funny because it's really your question, Leslie, about exclusivity and for everyone. Like art, we have millions and billions. We go to museum to visit, but few of us can buy art. It's really this balance. Today, it's quite funny in Paris because the biggest exhibition are free exhibition from luxury. In last Christmas, we have got the Chanel #5 big exhibition. And 2 weeks ago, it was Dior Yadav exhibition. There are free exhibition and it's totally full. That it means that, yes, it's for everyone. But Dior Yadav is for everyone. You know, the new access is experience for everyone. Take a coffee and that. But the exclusivity to own that. And when you see the price of a Chanel bag is 10,000 euros, you know, that the price of a piece of art, of real piece of art.
I think it's also about, building the next generation of customers. Everybody, all these luxury brands, they're aspirational. Everybody would like to be in a position where they can afford this or be given something, but very few people are going to get to that level of a $10,000 Chanel bag. So there is this catering to this ultra high net worth group of people, and the people actually can do whatever they want. The money is ridiculous. And then there's a tier which is able to do that, but it's a special occasion. They've got to save up for it. It has to be something worthwhile, and they're there. But then there's the 400 million or more who know the brand, would love to be affiliated with, would love to have some sort of association. So even if it's a keyring, or in the case of those brands, a pair of sunglasses or a lipstick or a duty-free perfume, which is the entry point to say, oh, I have got a Gucci thing, I have got a YSL thing. So I think there's a lot that we can take in and apply it digitally, like access and club membership, etc., which can be available to a much wider audience, which gives them a taste or a smell that they're in the space. And maybe, you can run a competition that whoever has this access, guess what? You're going to be able to come into the store and see the new Caesar's collection on the day that all the rich guys do. You can build things like that, which can really be, enticing and aspirational for other people, which will build that level of respect and engagement with the brand from an early stage. Because, some of those people are one day going to be millionaires. If the planet's still here.
Yes, you have a strong love story between Gen Z and luxury. Simply one figure, the first buy of luxury is at 15. But what is this 15? It's Bain & Co. Figures. But what is this buying? It's second hand. And here on the platform, digital platform, it's so important about that. It's a book. Like Jacques Mus launched a book, 200 euros. Gen Z love this book, okay? It's like a coffee table. But also they love dupes. Dupes, it's copy of luxury object. It's a huge success on TikTok. And Gen Z are very free about copy. They are proud to have copy. And they forget, the sustainable part about dupe. But the love passion, grâce au digital, from Gen Z and luxury is a great resiliency weapon for asset for luxury.
Richa, have you got anything to say on this?
I think it's true that exclusivity definitely help luxury brands maintain the status that they want to maintain, which is of course known by all, but paradoxically consumed by very few. Chanel handbags, Rolex watches, everyone has heard of them, but not everybody owns them either. I think one of the very interesting elements about exclusivity, craftsmanship, and then at the same time accessibility has to do something with social commerce. We cannot take that part out altogether because many luxury brands, for example, are now pushing limited editions or drops on the digital first platforms to maintain that scarcity, or let's say limited quantities that are available for a limited period of time, and thus creating a buzz about it. So they want to cater to a wider audience, but at the same time, they want to make sure that it's exclusive. Only the person who comes in first or shows up first is going to be able to get their hands on. And they promote craftsmanship also via social media platforms. So I believe social media is definitely going to play an important role in balancing out this aura of exclusivity and accessibility at the same time.
Right. Good. Well, we have got one more question, and then hopefully there's some questions from the audience as well. Data privacy and security are paramount concerns in the digital age. How can luxury brands leverage consumer data to enhance personalization while ensuring the protection of sensitive information and maintaining trust with their clientele? Eric.
It's a crucial question. I'll give you simply a study from Boston Consulting Group who said that the real luxury consumer are not very happy with the digital experience. It's really a client. I love the title of the study is the no Chanel client. That means that digital or brick and mortar, it's quite the same thing. And luxury really understand that is the power of data, which is crucial for the quality of experience, personalization or not. And for me, in the introduction, I tell you that luxury want to be at the avant-garde of digital, and they want to be at the avant-garde of AI. It's quite funny because we don't, when we see magazine, we are pro or versus AI. In luxury, quite everyone are for AI, not really for creativity, but for the data and the quality of relationship. It's really, we are today not, the obsession of luxury is not about e-commerce. It's about to have a great omnicanal experience, the best omnicanal experience, excellence in omnicanal, excellence, and also about digital elegancy, which is the title of the panel. I think is very, very important. What is digital elegancy in the relationship? And digital, these ideas are totally connected to data. And we can do nothing with AI. And today, Microsoft work quite every luxury brand about this subject.
Great, interesting. Richard, data.
It's a really tricky topic for me personally, because I don't like giving my data to anyone. As soon as I sign up and before you can go past a hurdle, they want an email address or a social login. I'm like, well, hang on a minute. Do I really want to go there? Because I know I'm going to get bombarded with emails and promotions and whatever. And it's going to be difficult to non-subscribe. So I think, I'm sort of anti, which is why I like Web3, because essentially your wallet is your logins and passwords for multiple things. And people don't need to know who you are, and you don't need to disclose who you are. The whole concept of soul-bound tokens, where you can actually have within your identity, your digital identity, whatever you want. It could be your bank balance, it could be your qualifications, your medical history, and it's there. And if you want to make it accessible, it can be, but people don't need to know the details of the information to know that it exists. So for example, if I'm going in to get a mortgage, for argument's sake, and my soul-bound asset, my wallet, says, this guy is good, he's got up this level, I don't need to show them my bank account, I don't need to get a solicitor involved. They should be able to take that, okay, he's good enough to go. I think this is where I'm really excited about the future of Web3, which is also about not anonymity, but this whole concept of data being secure. And I'm hoping that a lot of brands and marketing agencies and people that help sell stuff can embrace this in the way that it should be done. Because it's not about, accumulating data and then selling advertising back out to there. It's about actually developing a direct relationship between the brand and the customer. And I think that's where the digital element, the Web3 element, can completely transform that level of engagement and the effectiveness of marketing.
Yeah. So Web3 being able to leverage the customer's data in a way to enhance the personalization.
It's not actually leveraging the data. It's just having that relationship in a different way. I mean, if I am a Chanel VIP, they're going to know everything about me. Well, they'll know what I spent with them. They'll have my address. They'll have my birthdays. They'll have my kids' birthdays, and they'll be feeding me nice little gifts and invitations and whatever. And I think that at that level, it's a very personal and quite traditional relationship. You're going to have those customer managers there, where data as a whole becomes much more, just expansive. And that's what everybody collects as much as they can. I think that's where Web3 can actually improve the effectiveness of marketing campaigns, of promotions, of brand engagement.
Yeah. Richa, anything to say on this?
I agree with Richard. I think it's so tricky and a little bit complex subject also. I know that it's super important for the brands. So for example, I can mention one example that comes to my mind out of the personal experience I've had with a luxury brand from LVMH. They have set up their own security system. So as a provider, because we provide our services to them, we have to do so many technical assessments initially that it can be mind-boggling sometimes. And then after that also, they have put up their internal security systems that you have to be aligned with each and every time, because they want to make sure that the data which is collected from these immersive experiences is not leaked somewhere and is super safe and secure all the time. They definitely want to leverage the data that they collect in order to provide the personalized content and connect with the customers that they have got. And because of the insights generated by this big data, they are making sure that they reach out to these high net worth consumers based on their purchase behaviors. And all these luxury brands are identifying new opportunities by collecting this data and generating insights that is helping them in working on their strategies and trying to be close to the consumers that they have got. But I do believe at the same time that Web3 is going to change the norms, and it is not going to be seen like how it has been until now. And luxury brands are going to be adapting to the new norms of Web3 and data privacy and security in general.
Good. Okay. We have one question come through on the chat. Based on the definition of luxury you each outlined at the start of this panel, would you consider Apple to be a luxury brand?
Yes, definitely. It's quite funny because, and I talk about retail, when you see Vision Pro will be launching, I think in January, and, in terms of retail strategy, it will be a one-to-one rendezvous. Like exactly Gucci Salon, the Gucci shop for rich people is only with rendezvous. And you have the digital mask of Apple. If you want to buy it, you have to take rendezvous. It's really a luxury ceremonial. And Apple is a benchmark for luxury brands for 10 years ago. And they make only one collaboration with Hermes. Hermes is kind of king of luxury. That yes, Apple is a luxury brand for me.
I always refer to the Church of Apple because if you go to any of their stores, it literally is full of worshippers of the brand, and they go there every week almost. They're never going to buy anything. They just want to be in the vicinity. So yeah, they work it very well.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah. I went and bought an Apple Watch at Christmas because I had some money as a present to buy an Apple Watch. I went into the shop and I said to the guy, which one should I take? And he said, well, it's up to you. He said, Apple's very good at making you buy things you don't need.
Yes, that's 100% correct. From the airports to all the cables, you have to buy Apple at the end of the day if you're using MacBook.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the first definition of luxury, huh? Product that you don't need, but you love.
True.
Is it? I mean, we've got a few minutes left. I've gone through all the questions I had written down. Is there anything that we touched on that you would like to talk a bit more about? Do you think there's anything we've missed in the conversation? Lots of really interesting points coming out here.
I'll just add in one thing. I think the digital and luxury is the topic today, and elegance and whatever. But I do think you have to look at how digital tools and services are being applied across the landscape as well, and doing really interesting. I mean, for me, my first experience of about a year and a half ago is Uniqlo, with their RFID tags and the bucket, that you can literally grab a whole bunch of stuff, chuck it in it, and it scans everything, up comes your bill, touch your phone, and you're out of the shop within seconds. I mean, that's another type of experience. It's not a luxury experience, but it really, that sort of thing functions really well. And I think, there's other things we could probably dig into around how technology and data can be used to improve lots of areas of, let's say, fast fashion or regular fashion, not just in luxury.
Simply to add, I want to talk about the battle of attention, which is so important and totally connected to digital. Something very important is a transformation from luxury house to cultural house. It is a definition that gave Bernard Arnault to Vuitton. And when we see on the last fashion show from Pharrell has billions and billions of views, it's really courtesy of digital. Today, it's so important, this battle of attention, luxury fight versus Apple versus Coca-Cola about that. It's not a question of exclusivity at all. It's a question of power. And when you see the use of K-pop star, it's really what are looking for luxury is a digital army behind the K-pop star. And I give you a simple example. I saw the last Vuitton fashion show woman. We have Felix, is a big K-pop star. Make the experience, see on YouTube the fashion show. 80% of commentary is, I love Felix, 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 Felix. That's mean in terms of data that when you have a video like that, you have not 1,000 commentary, you have 10,000 commentary. And which is a battle of attention. And to win the battle of attention, you have to transform in cultural houses. That means that inclusivity with this pop-up store, exhibition for all, and exclusivity with this salon store.
One more question's come in through the chat. We learned that Hermes is also working on its NFT and metaverse project. Do you think that Hermes will act differently as Louis Vuitton and Gucci?
It is a definition of Hermes. I worked 10 years for Hermes from Publicis, and I give you a little souvenir from Hermes. It was one of my first meetings with Hermes, and we talk about the Google homepage, and the CEO of Hermes said, I want an Hermes advertising on this page. And I said, it's not possible. If it's not possible, it will be Hermes.
Good one.
But we don't see any Google advertising on the Hermes Google advertising.
Well,
but I feel that LV functions and Gucci as well. They function in a very different way. They're more commercial brands. Their strategies are different. How their marketing activations are planned. Hermes does totally the opposite, or maybe does only 1% of what Louis Vuitton is currently doing.
Yes, it's a craftsman. It's not a cultural house. It's a craftsman house, and it's connected to your subject, Leslie.
For me, Hermes is the epitome of luxury. If you would, if we go back to the original question, and you had to name a few brands, the top one on my list would be Hermes.
Wonderful. Guys, I'm afraid we've come to the end of our conversation. Thank you so much for your time and your thoughts. I've taken lots of notes, so these are wonderful points. And thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.